We have been in Florida 3 years.
3 years. Is it better is the question of the day, and we're going to talk about that in this video, and we're getting started right now.
If you're looking to move to the area, make sure to call, text, or email me. My information will be in the description box below. I hear from people every day, and I love it.
That phone number is 941-221-1897. I love hearing when she tells me someone got a hold of us from watching the videos. Lets us know that putting the time into these is paying off. So let's talk about our process of moving to Florida. This has been quite the journey.
So as you may or may not know, that depends how long you've been watching our videos, we actually moved from Wisconsin to the Orlando area, Altamont Springs, and we were there for about a year and a half. We almost thought that we had made
we were on the fence. Yeah, we were definitely on the fence.
Definitely not the area for us. It was just way too crowded, way too busy. Traffic was crazy, overwhelming. Leaving the house, like it was always like, do we want to go and do something, or should we just like not?
And that was all on top of, I think, just acclimating to Florida in general. There's a lot of changes from Wisconsin coming down to Florida. So if you're coming from the north, or even some of the southern states, there's definitely going to be some big differences. We're going to go over all the cons and pros in this video in a little bit, but I think the first thing to understand is that there is an acclimation process to anywhere you're going to go to in Florida. It's going to take a little while to get used to it. I would say it took us about that year and a half to just get used to some of the Florida in general thing. Like she mentioned, one thing that we found out was very important is area matters so much. I think if you end up in the wrong city, wrong pocket of Florida, you might think, no, Florida, I can't do this. If you just move to another place like we did, to now Venice, you might find that Florida is perfect for you.
We are so glad that we ended up moving out of the Altamont Springs area into Venice. Just felt more like home. Like every time we would visit, once we moved here, definitely it felt like, okay, this is where we should have been to begin with.
Yeah, we could put some roots down. And I don't want to give, Orlando a bad rap. I mean, there's definitely things we miss about that area, yes, and that we did like there that aren't here. But overall, this just is a little bit better fit for us, more our speed.
It was just too busy for us, but if you're coming from a bigger city, the Orlando area might just be perfect for you, and Venice might be too boring for you. So it just depends where you're coming from and what you want out of your new city.
Absolutely. So let's talk cons first. Let's knock all those cons out of the way, and then we'll get to the pros. We'll get to the good stuff. But it's important to understand the bad stuff. So you want to take the first con?
Sure. First con for me, more than you, I feel like it's bugs.
I still don't like them, but yeah.
They don't bother you as much as they bother me. Palmetto bugs, which it's not like you see them all the time.
When you do, you remember, and I hear about it.
Yeah. Roaches.
Tons of ants down here.
Ants, museums. The museums are like little.
They look like a gnat, basically.
Yeah.
They're so little.
Little and white, and you can't even see them. And like, you'll know they bit you because the next morning you'll be like scratching everywhere, and you'll see the little bumps on your skin.
I don't feel
I see them anyway.
I feel like I've never been bit by one. Oh, I shouldn't say never, but like, you're always like, oh, I got bit. And I'm like, I didn't get anything, so.
Sweet blood.
Yeah, perhaps.
The little lizards, too, that are pretty much everywhere, but they don't really do anything.
They're not a con to me. I think they're fun. I like them.
They just like, if we're going for a walk, if we're like on a trail, and I hear them just like going around, I'm like, okay, is that a snake?
Yeah, what's in the bushes?
So they freak me out a little bit there.
Yeah, but they do take care of some of the insect population, which is good. And they occasionally will get like into the patio lanai, we call it down here, or every now and then you might see one in the house, but you can just take a broom and shoo it out or catch it with your hands if you're feeling up for that. I had a nephew that was going all around the yard catching them for fun, and one literally bit onto his hand and was just hanging there, and he was just laughing. So they're harmless. Like, it didn't do anything to him whatsoever. Next con, gators. Again, for me, I don't feel like this is a big con. Do you feel like it's a big con?
No, I mean, I feel like as long as you're being careful, like, it's not like they're everywhere around your house. Like, they're everywhere in a body of water. They might be there. So you want to be a little more careful if you're, next to the water or whatever.
I feel like it's more of a con for people that are trying to keep people from to move to Florida. Like, oh, there's gators everywhere.
Yes.
And for people that maybe are just, really scared of gators, period. But they really don't do too much for the most part in our experience. Again, they're pretty much in the water. Occasionally they'll come onto the shore. Of course, you don't want to leave little kids running around by the shore or playing in the water or swimming in any body of water outside of the ocean, or have a small dog or a cat. But outside of that, as long as you're being smart, it's not really a big deal.
The next con would be the heat and the humidity. I feel like, again, this bothers me more than it bothers you.
I got no problem with it. I like sweating. I'm weird.
Yeah. With the heat, it's just like I hate going outside of the house and like be drenched in sweat. Like I just hate that. And the humidity, like with my hair and my skin, it's something that I've had to learn how to deal with it, because like your hair will get really, really freezy. And if you're not used to the humidity like I wasn't used to, like you just have to like figure out what kind of products to use, what kind of, you know, things to put in your hair so you can actually manage it.
And once we moved down to Florida,
I'm still learning.
The curly hair became a thing.
Yes, just because I kind of like let my hair do what it wants to do. If I straighten it out and then I just go out of the house and then it looks like huge because of the humidity, like I'd rather just have it curly. It's the way it's supposed to be, so just let it do its thing.
I don't know anything about those problems. Next con, traffic. You're going to hear about this from anyone that lives in Florida, anyone that's being honest with you about living in Florida. Just about, I won't say any city, but pretty much most cities, traffic is an issue, especially when it comes to those winter months, because you got tourists coming down, you got snowbirds, you've got people that just want to get away for a few days for a vacation. So the streets get more crowded, more packed, and there's that weird mix of drivers. I feel like Venice isn't as bad that way. People just all drive slow here for the most part, with a few exceptions. But like Orlando, Miami, you're gonna have some really aggressive drivers, and then they're mixed in with tourists that don't know where they're going and retirees that drive fairly slow. So it can be a very stressful experience depending on where you are. I hear a lot of people complain about the Venice area where we live. I personally don't think it's bad. I just think it's frustrating at times.
Yes, more than anything, just because in summer it's like it's a breeze getting anywhere. Like you can get anywhere and get there quickly. In winter, it's like it's a nightmare, just because again you have the slower drivers, you have maybe the locals that are trying to be a little bit more aggressive because they're, you know, upset that someone's holding them back. All those things mixed together. We do have people from like different states, different countries. We see a lot of different people here that you can tell they're tourists or they're only here for the winter. So when you put out those different driving styles, it can get frustrating, especially if you have to get to work. So that's something you need to consider, you know, like leave maybe 5-10 minutes earlier so you can get there on time.
And one thing to keep in mind with that too is traffic, like we've said in a few videos, is going to be relative to what you're used to. If you're from a really small town, then yeah, a lot of areas are going to feel crazy in the winter. Not so bad probably in summer, depending on where you are. If you're coming from a big city, this might not feel all that bad. It just depends, again, where you are. Like Miami's still probably going to feel pretty bad. Orlando, Tampa to a degree. You know, there's going to be some backups on 75 near the Sarasota area during rush hour, but
I feel like after being in Orlando for about a year, like the traffic here, it's nothing. Like you can get bumper to bumper, but it's never going to be bumper to bumper. And on top of that, you get like the frustrated drivers or the extra aggressive drivers. So like everything just moves at the same pace here.
And bumper to bumper is different here. Bumper to bumper in Orlando is you're here. Bumper to bumper is here.
Yes.
People still leave that space.
That space, yes. Yeah. Another con of the winters here, I guess you could say, since there is a lot more people here, then now the restaurants are getting a lot more crowded. Wait lists like 20 to 40 minutes, an hour maybe of you just waiting to get a table. The stores are packed. Grocery stores as well are always packed. You have to like figure out what times work for you to go to the grocery store because they will run out of things. We haven't been here too long to know this, but since the pandemic, we're attributing some of those stocking issues to that, but we don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, we would prefer to go at night when there's less people because a lot of people go to bed early around Venice. But when we go late at night, then they don't have everything in stock. So it's like pick your poison.
Right.
Next con about Florida in general, and there is a way to get around this, but it's going to cost you, storage. It's not like in Wisconsin. You got the whole attic that you can fill with all the stuff that you never use and you don't look at, and it just sits there. And then you also got the basement that you can put more stuff in that you never use, and it just sits there. which I don't know, for me I kind of found refreshing when we moved down. We really got rid of a lot of stuff that's just been sitting in the attic or the basement, and you find out you don't need it. You live lighter, you live with less stuff, and it's like, it's not a big deal. But yeah, we don't have the attics here. We don't have the basements. Your garage will probably end up getting used for storage, closets. A lot of times if you have like a laundry or a mud room, there might be some shelves in there, but that's pretty much what you're stuck with. And the way to get around that is a very lucrative business down here is storage facilities. You see them everywhere when you're driving past. I can't remember half the names. I think there's like U-Haul storage, and I don't remember most of them, but they're everywhere.
It's a good business to be in
Yeah,
if you're thinking about opening a business in Florida.
So you can pay to store your stuff. There's boat storage facilities. You know, you name it. There's a place to store your stuff. Most people put their car in the garage. There's only so much stuff you can put in there, and you kind of run out of space.
The next one that was a big deal for me when we moved down was the water.
Bothered me too, actually. I don't think you realized.
Okay.
At first. Now I'm used to it.
Yeah, well, because if you have like a water filtering system, it tastes like that flavor.
It did taste a little weird. I noticed it tastes more weird here, though, in the Venice area.
Yeah.
It tastes like sand.
Yeah, because in the Orlando area, our water was supposed to be safe to drink. We were in a condo, but we couldn't drink it because of the flavor. Here, it tastes like sand, yes. And
I don't notice it anymore.
But I think it's because of the water filtration that we don't notice it, so it's not.
Well, even because we have like one of those Brita quick filter pitchers or whatever. When we first moved here, we were using that. I still tasted it. I think we just don't notice it anymore.
Okay, could be. Also, the water is really harsh here, so like on your skin will get dry. Your hair will get dry. So those are some adjustments that, like, again, you'll have to figure out how to take care of your skin, how to take care of your hair. But a good whole house reverse osmosis system for the water will do wonders. So that's something that you can do, and it's probably just a couple $1,000.
Yeah, probably worth it.
Yes.
So let's talk pros. We got through all the bad stuff, all the yucky stuff. There's a lot to love about Florida because, I mean, we're still here. And 3 years later, and we're going to give you our verdict at the end if it's better. But first pro, the heat and the humidity kind of stinks. I don't mind it. But at the flip side of that is the winters are beautiful. They're amazing. They're perfect weather. If you like wearing a hoodie and jeans, there's going to be a few days a year that you can do that. Unless maybe, you know, you're snowbirding and coming up and down, then it might not ever feel cold. But if you have lived down here for a while and you get used to the weather, your blood will thin a little bit. And there will be days where you can dress a little bit warmer if you like to wear warm, long sleeve stuff. I don't. I don't like those days. I just like the days where I can wear my flip-flops, shorts, t-shirt, bare feet.
I love those days. That's like my favorite season in Florida. Fall/winter and even spring. Just not summer so much. But hey, I'd rather deal with that than deal negative 50-degree weather in Wisconsin. So.
Facts. Which brings us to the next pro. I'll let you cover this one. The snow and the ice and all the things that come with that we don't have here.
Yeah, so not having to deal with the snow here, it's a huge, huge plus. We do have to deal with the sand though. Like, I've noticed that sand does get into your house. I'd rather, I guess, deal with that than deal with a mess of, you know, ice and water and like having to salt your sidewalks and your driveway
and
because
shovel.
It's so, and I could not do that, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah.
And scraping your windshield off before work, after work. Like, it's dark outside when you leave to go to work and have to scrape your windshield off, and then at night when you get off work you have to scrape it again and it's dark. So
and that makes me think of another con for Florida. We'll get to that in a sec, but the other thing with it is it's dangerous driving when there's snow, when there's ice or a snowstorm and you can't see. So like that will, like, I've said to people, like, what about the hurricanes, which is the next con that we forgot that I'm going to go over. But I told people, like, well, you know what? Every winter you can count on in Wisconsin it's going to snow and it's going to be dangerous and people are going to get killed driving, sad to say, or injured or whatever. And in Florida, we don't ever have to worry about that. You just get in your car, you go. Occasionally we'll get these crazy torrential downpours where it's hard to see, but outside of that, you never have to worry about the scraping the windshield, the shoveling the driveway. Is it safe to drive? You can go. Yes, it gets really hot, but you can go where you want to go. On the hurricane front, we've been here 3 years. We've really never had an issue with. we've had some heavy downpours, almost looking like it could flood, but never did. We freaked out a lot the first couple times, and now it's like, even with us being closer to the coast, the Gulf Coast, I don't know, I'm not that worried.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to be careful and be prepared
Yes.
in case something happens. We'll have water, bottled waters, we'll have like canned food, things like that, just so that if something does happen and you're stuck at home, you can at least have water and food. So you do want to be prepared, but yeah, we don't get freaked out like we did at the beginning.
And the houses and everything are kind of built for it. They're raised up, they're built to be stronger. You know, a lot of the newer houses have hurricane impact windows or hurricane shutters. So there's just so much stuff that's been built to accommodate for that potential problem.
Another pro to live in Florida are the theme parks. Orlando, it's probably about maybe 2 or 3 hours max away from anywhere you are in Florida, maybe 3 hours or so.
Yeah. From the very north and very south, you might be a little over 3, but not much.
Yeah, so even if you stay over, a day or 2 days in Orlando to go to a theme park, it's still not going to be as expensive as having to fly down to Florida and on top of that, staying in a hotel. So that's kind of cool, and there is a lot of free activities too in the Orlando area. There is Disney Springs, the river.
City Walk. Universal City Walk.
Universal City, yeah, that's pretty cool. There is like a lot of restaurants. There is an AMC theater there. There is also Busch Gardens in Tampa.
And Carol Baskins has, was it Big Cat Rescue or Habitat? There's a Big Cat Rescue.
Rescue.
One of them is in Sarasota, and Carol Baskins' one is in Tampa. So if you've been watching Tiger King and Joe Exotic and you want to see his rivals, place you can go up there. Those are probably the main ones. I mean, and obviously the other attractions, which I guess would come to the next pro, which would be a lot of the beaches. Miami Beach is very famous, South Beach. Siesta Key. We love also just the Venice area beaches because you can find prehistoric shark teeth and lots of seashells. So the beaches, there's a lot to do, a lot of different styles. Some Cocoa Beach is nice if you want a little more waves. So each one has its own character, and it's just cool to check out all the different areas, and they've got kind of like themed restaurants in those areas. That's obviously a big perk, going to the beach, surfing, swimming, scuba diving.
Or even just laying on the sand.
just literally just listening to the waves and relaxing and having your zen moment.
Or walking on the shore.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing too. Or going for a run.
And I love my beach runs. We have a video on the channel about that.
Another pro is all the outdoor activities that you can do in Florida, whether that's just walking or going like on hiking trails or biking trails. We have a lot of that. We have a lot of like nature related things to do.
Yeah.
And
a lot of parks.
Yeah, a lot of parks. Here in Venice, we have Shamrock Park, which is pretty cool. They have a lot of different, within that same park, different trails. Like one, it's got pavement. The other ones, they don't have anything on. They're more like sand, so it's pretty cool to just go and walk around.
Yeah, boating, golf, all the different parks with like this, pickleball, tennis, and all that kind of stuff, croquet. A lot of options.
Yes, a lot of like different basketball courts too, throughout like even not only in Venice, but like Orlando had a lot of those, and all throughout Florida, they're pretty common. And also just walking around downtown, like whether that's in Venice or Sarasota or Miami, like there is always like a little downtown area that is very walkable that you can just go and spend a day there and you don't have to spend any money.
Yeah, which that makes me think of the next pro, which is culture. But that's going to be more so in some of the bigger cities. There's a lot of more diversity, and which I love for like different food choices, just being around people, different culture, and maybe getting to know a little bit about, their way of life. I think that's fascinating and fun, but you're going to see more of that, I'd say, to some degree in Tampa, definitely Miami, Orlando. This Venice, Sarasota's a little better than, I'd say, Venice. Venice is predominantly white, and a lot of the food options reflect that. We have a lot of Italian and American food, steakhouses, Southern-style food, French.
We do have a few Mexican restaurants too, and I think there's like one Cuban place, Venezuelan/Argentinian.
We need to go there again. I forgot about that place.
Yeah, we actually have a video on
Yep.
the channel. So
And
maybe we'll link it below.
Also Indian and two or three Thai places,
Yes.
which Thai is amazing in India.
Yes.
I say that on every video, but you need to know if you don't know.
So there is a few options other than American, but like we'll have like 1 or 2 restaurants at most. Another pro of being in Florida is that there's a lot of shopping. In the Orlando area, we had the Premier outlet malls. We had like 2 different ones. Premium. They were huge, pretty amazing. Just to like go there even and spend a full day just walking around shopping,
Yeah.
It's amazing. Here in Venice, we have a few like department stores, but Sarasota has the UTC Mall and UTC Shopping Center, which is like a combination of a mall and then a lot of different shopping stores around it, which it's not very walkable, but it's easy to get like from store to store. So everything's in one place. Miami Beach, South Beach has a lot of shopping as well, designer shopping, designers stuff if you're into that.
Tons of options. In that UTC area. And one thing I want to point out with Florida as a whole is I noticed like there's more malls that still exist here. Some are even pretty new that have went up, and just the strip malls and things like that. It's all like even in the Venice area. When we first moved here, there wasn't a lot, or right before we moved here, I should say, and they were building a whole new strip mall, so that went up, and then there's new places going in front of it. You just see a lot more growth because more people are coming down here, more shopping is coming down here, and I just remember where we came from, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. They had a mall, that's gone. A lot of the other stores that people like to go shopping at are gone. So it's just kind of nice, I guess, to have that here versus where we came from, seeing how things are kind of fizzling out. Next pro, this is a pretty quick, simple, and dirty one. Well, not dirty, it's actually really clean. No state income tax. Can't beat that. It's a lot of money that you normally would have to pay that you don't have to pay. I don't think I need to tell you anything else. It's awesome.
Yes, and another pro that comes along with that is property taxes. You actually get up to $50,000 in homestead. So basically, if you're purchasing a residence here in Florida and you're going to be a full-time resident, you can get up to $50,000 tax break on that property, which is pretty cool.
And that's only on your first purchase, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, so if it's going to be your main residence, it doesn't matter how many houses you purchase throughout the year, but if that's your main residence, that's the property you're going to get the $50,000 or up to $50,000 homestead. So
you know about that stuff. I don't know about that stuff as much. I just take the money.
Another pro, and I love this one about Florida, is the different style houses. They're more like Spanish style, like, well, some have the brick, some have stucco. The roof, some have like the clay roof, the tin roofs. So like the style houses are very different here than what we're used to in Wisconsin. And I think every time we were looking at houses like that, just like caught our attention just because the houses are so much different here.
In general, I'd say since there's more people moving down, there's a lot more newer houses. There's more tile floors. If you're into that, there's less carpet generally, unless it's an older home. Some newer constructions are still doing carpet, but yeah, overall, I think we both liked the style a lot more. Maybe that's not for you, but for us, we like kind of that modern Spanish style looking home. That's very abundant here.
Yes.
Next pro, and this is going to be another pretty quick one, but it just makes me feel happy. And I've seen studies that they said it actually improves happiness. I'm not even making this up. I don't remember. I would link you to the study because I don't remember where it is. But palm trees. I don't know what it is about palm trees. You just see them and a little breeze going in. And you're just like, yeah.
It's like tropical, very tropical.
Yeah, it just makes me feel good. I don't know. You just see them and it just looks nice.
Yeah.
Especially like around sunset, you're driving somewhere and you kind of just see more of the shadow of the palm trees with the beautiful sunset colors that we always get here with the pink and the orange and the blue. And yeah, I don't know.
And during Christmas,
oh yeah,
actually people put Christmas lights around the palm trees, and they actually look really pretty.
It's fun.
Yes.
It's a different kind of Christmas, but it's fun. Another pro that we really like is, I think you like it too, the wildlife. There's so much different wildlife here that we didn't have in Wisconsin. So there's all the tropical birds. There's these things called spoonbills that look kind of like flamingos, but they got like this weird like platypus looking beak. all the different tropical birds galore. We see them all the time in the retention pond behind our house. There's the alligators, which I think are kind of fun. I'm trying to think, I've seen wild boar down here.
I know some people have seen like coyotes.
Coyotes, which they are in Wisconsin too, but I don't think I'd ever seen one. Armadillos, I'd never seen those before we moved down here. Turtles, lots of those are in Wisconsin too, but there's some big turtles down here, soft shell turtles and box turtles, gopher tortoises. All that kind of stuff is really fun. Dolphins, all the stuff that you get with the ocean, sharks. So all that stuff is very exciting and fun. I think a lot of kids enjoy that. The little kid in me likes that too. So just cool to have some of that different wildlife, and just I'd say there's more. It's just everywhere. You can't go a day without seeing some sort of wildlife. In Wisconsin, you would see like your little like songbirds and stuff all the time, maybe a rabbit, but that was kind of the extent of it. Occasionally you would see a deer. So overall verdict, 3 years in Florida. Is it better? Let's say on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a feeling you would say yes. But I think the one thing that we didn't talk about with the con that we should mention is the one big thing that I think the hardest thing outside of once we got through that 1.5 year acclimation process is you still miss the friends and family. We've been here 1.5 years. That'll never go away. But I think all the other things, like we found ways to get around them, get used to them, and they're not as big of a deal as far as the cons go, and the pros are still great. I think the cons in Wisconsin versus the cons here, I'd rather have the cons here.
Yes.
The pros here, for sure, I would rather have than the pros that we had in Wisconsin.
Yes, I agree with that. So if you're looking to move to the area, make sure to call, text, or email me. My information will be in the description box below. I hear from people every day, and I love it.
That phone number is 941-221-1897. As you heard, we're getting the text messages all throughout the video. We love hearing from you guys. If you found the video helpful, subscribe and turn on all notifications because we have a lot of other videos coming out. Check out our previous videos. If you want to learn anything about living in Florida in general, and especially the Sarasota, Venice, Englewood, Northport areas, hit the like button if the video is helpful, and live breezy.